September 1940. A man stood in the crowd, waiting to be arrested. Not because he had no choice, because it was his mission. Everyone around him was terrified. They wanted to escape. He wanted the exact opposite. He stepped forward without resistance. Nobody around him knew that he had planned this moment for weeks. His name was Witold Pilecki, a husband, a father, a soldier. But none of that explained what he was about to do. The truck carrying prisoners began to move. No one knew where they were going. Rumors spread through the city. People whispered about a place where thousands disappeared. Almost nobody ever came back. Witold had heard those rumors too. And that was exactly why he got on that truck. He wasn't trying to escape the nightmare. He was trying to enter it. Because someone had to discover the truth. Even if it meant never coming home. The journey ended behind barbed wire. Only then, the prisoners learned the name of the place. Auschwitz. Most of them believed they would never leave alive. Witold Pilecki believed something different. He wasn't there to survive. At least, that wasn't his first mission. He had entered the camp for one reason: to discover what was happening behind those fences, to organize resistance, and somehow send the truth back to the outside world. But there was one problem. Every prisoner was watched. Every conversation could be overheard. One wrong word could end everything. Even remembering someone's face was dangerous. So Witold waited. He listened. He watched. He memorized every detail, every guard, every routine, every opportunity. Because before he could tell the world the truth, he first had to survive long enough to learn it. And every new day inside Auschwitz made that mission almost impossible. Every hour inside Auschwitz taught the same lesson: trust no one. A careless word could destroy everything. Witold Pilecki knew he couldn't fight the camp with weapons. He needed something far more powerful. People. But who could he trust? Every prisoner had a story. Some were terrified. Some had already lost hope. Others were willing to risk everything. The problem was knowing the difference. So Witold never rushed. He watched. He listened. He remembered names. He paid attention to the smallest details. One quiet conversation. One shared piece of bread. One silent nod. Slowly, a secret network began to grow. Not with force, but with trust. Each new member knew only a small part of the plan. If one man was discovered, the others might still survive. Day by day, the resistance inside Auschwitz became real. But building it was only the beginning. Now they faced an even greater challenge. How could they tell the outside world what was happening behind those fences without anyone discovering them? The resistance was growing. But inside Auschwitz, information meant nothing unless it reached the outside world. Witold Pilecki knew the truth had to leave the camp. The problem was simple. No prisoner could walk through the gates carrying secret reports. Every search was thorough. Every movement was watched. One hidden message could cost dozens of lives. So they became patient. They memorized names, dates, numbers, everything the world needed to know. Then, small handwritten reports began to appear. Each one carried a terrible risk. Getting the message out was only half the mission. Someone outside had to believe it. Could anyone really accept that such a place existed? Or would the reports be dismissed as impossible stories? Still, they continued writing, continued hiding, continued hoping, because silence would help only one side. And Witold refused to let silence win. Weeks turned into months. The secret reports were leaving Auschwitz. At least, that was the hope. No one in the camp could know what happened after the messages disappeared beyond the fences. Did they reach the resistance? Did they reach the Allies? Or were they lost forever? Every report carried the same warning. Thousands of innocent people were trapped inside. Every day, more trains arrived. Every day, the camp became larger. Yet nothing seemed to change. No rescue came. No attack followed. For many prisoners, hope slowly began to disappear. But not for Witold Pilecki. If one report failed, another had to be written. If one messenger disappeared, another had to be found. He believed that one day the truth would become impossible to ignore. The question was, would that day come before it was too late? By 1942, Witold Pilecki faced a painful reality. The reports had been sent. The resistance outside knew. Yet Auschwitz still stood. Every day brought more prisoners. Every day more lives disappeared behind the fences. Some members of the underground reached a dangerous conclusion. Waiting was no longer enough. They began discussing something almost unimaginable, an uprising. The idea was simple. If prisoners could seize key parts of the camp, and if outside resistance attacked at the same time, there might be a chance. But everything depended on perfect timing. One mistake would destroy years of secret work. Witold carefully weighed every possibility. He wanted to save lives, not sacrifice them. The underground continued preparing, watching, waiting, hoping for a signal from outside. But that signal never came. Soon, Witold realized that he might have only one option left. He would have to leave Auschwitz himself. For nearly 3 years, Witold Pilecki had lived inside Auschwitz. He had built a resistance network, sent secret reports, watched thousands arrive through the gates, but one thing never happened: the attack he had hoped for. Witold realized he could no longer wait. If the outside world would not come to Auschwitz, then Auschwitz had to go to the outside world. There was only one way: escape. Not to save himself, but to deliver everything he had learned with his own voice. The plan was incredibly dangerous. If they failed, there would be no second chance. Every step had to be perfect. Every second mattered. One night, the moment finally arrived. The gates that had trapped him for years were about to become the greatest obstacle of his life. Would freedom be only a few steps away, or forever out of reach? On the night of April 26, 1943, Witold Pilecki finally escaped from Auschwitz. After nearly 3 years inside the camp, he carried something far more valuable than his own freedom: the truth. Soon after escaping, he wrote one of the first detailed eyewitness reports describing life inside Auschwitz. He hoped the information would lead to action, but the attack he had dreamed of never came. The camp remained in operation. Still, his mission had succeeded. The world could no longer say it did not know. After the war, Witold continued serving Poland, but under the new communist government, he was arrested once again. In 1948, he was executed after a secret trial. For decades, his name was almost erased from history. Today, Witold Pilecki is remembered as one of the bravest men of the Second World War, a man who voluntarily entered Auschwitz, not to survive, but to make sure the world would one day know the truth. And because of him, it does.